So right now we're going to talk a little bit about expertise. Because everybody knows what an expert is, right? Somebody like Tiger Woods or Michael Jordan in sports, Albert Einstein or James Watson in science, maybe Mozart or even Lady Gaga in music, Bill Gates in business. But as it turns out, it's surprisingly difficult to provide a formal definition of expertise that everybody can agree with. There's so many factors involved in expertise that it's hard to pin down an idea. Let's talk about it a little bit. The first way to define expertise is to emphasize know-how, an expert's ability to carry out an action. That's a great definition in perhaps sports or a field that requires know-how, music. But what about fields like history or philosophy that's more about declarative knowledge rather than procedural knowledge? Well, a second way to define expertise is just to use the amount of time that one has spent in a particular area or a particular domain. There's a little bit of correlation between amount of experience and level of expertise, but that's a pretty weak correlation. In fact, deliberate practice accounts for about only 30% of the variance of expertise in music. So just the amount of time you spend in something isn't a great way to define expertise. Sometimes expertise is defined as fluid, automatic behavior without any conscious control or thought. And that can be consistent with many domains of expertise, notably sports and music, but there are important exceptions. Real experts address difficult problems with the possibility of making mistakes and expand their knowledge along the way because of the mistakes that they've made. A fourth common definition is to use titles such as PhD, doctor, professional certificates. But this approach has a couple weaknesses. In particular, diplomas only relate to declarative knowledge, not procedural knowledge. So it equates to the know what, but not the know how. Some fields, most notably sociology, emphasize social aspects linked to expertise. And in the extreme, they argue that expertise doesn't really exist at all, that it's just a label given by society or some other groups to particular individuals. What's missing in all of these definitions so far is a reliable measure of expertise. Now, some fields, I'll argue with you, have those measures for the amount of wealth accumulated, the amount of games won, the number of books sold. But there's other factors that need to be accounted for. Gabet proposed the following definition of expertise, and I want you to think about it. An expert in a given domain is somebody who obtains results that are vastly superior to those obtained by the majority of population. This definition, if you think about it, has a couple of advantages. First, it can be used in domains where most people perform at a high level. Breathing. We all breathe, but some people, particularly practitioners of like hatha yoga, have breathing techniques that are so vastly superior that they may be difficult or dangerous for most of us. Then, secondly, this definition can be used equally successfully in experts in domains where procedural skills dominate and in domains characterized by declarative knowledge. It makes it possible to identify fields where genuine expertise exists, like tennis, to those where expertise does not exist. And it can be applied to experts themselves. A super expert, then, would be somebody whose performance is vastly superior to the majority of experts. Perhaps a chess grand champion, or perhaps somebody in tennis like Roger Federer. Anyway, think about it. How do you define expertise? Think about it, and we'll talk more later.